Yeah, when your office lady basically has a doctor's education,
Yeah.
it makes it really hard to offer them some kind of competitive pay rate to make them leave their field training.
Would you like to stop making a large amount of money for good, honest work and come over and be our office lady?
That's hilarious. Welcome back to another Long Crack video. My name's Ryan. I'm joined with Billy. And today we are continuing the whole documenting what's going on with B&B Lawn Mowing, Billy's new lawn mowing service here in Northern Kentucky. And today's topic is going to be communication. So really, before we get too far into the video, give you a little heads up here that we are literally going to be talking out some different communication ideas of how everyone in the company can stay on the same page of what's going on when customers are, say, telling something Billy while he's out there servicing their property, or they email in and I receive the emails, or they call and text and Amy gets those. So our customers are communicating with three, if not potentially with Brandon also.
Right.
So,
you're basically getting in on the ground floor with us here on a communication issue because we haven't figured it out for ourselves entirely how we want to do it yet. So,
yes.
So you're going to be able to go through it with us because we haven't made a decision on who or when or
right. So you're,
what responsibilities are whose.
we're not going to be like, this is how we do it. And this,
Yeah.
that's not going to be this video. That's
We
gonna
got to
be a
figure it out
future video.
too.
Yes. So, but we have been talking about this, and it's not even like it's a real issue in the business at this point. Like, it's not really causing any kind of heartache or anything's gotten messed up terribly or anything. I don't even know if anything's really been messed up.
Nothing's been messed up.
Yeah. So
the Whitaker debacle, but that wasn't
right.
anything.
So basically, we are looking forward in the business. Like, we know we're going to take on more customers. We know there's going to be more communications happening at once.
You want to be above the curve. You want to do it before it's a problem.
Yes.
So you have your system. That's why we're doing it now, because all it's going to take is for our list to double, and it's going to be hard to keep all the notes and anything someone said, because especially when you're on the ground out in the field, people, a customer may just walk up to you and tell you something that they like done or whatever, and in the moment you're like, okay, and you go do it. You need to put a note on that so that if you're not the one there next time, they still know that it's part of the job, and so you don't want to verbally communicate that to somebody because A, they're probably gonna forget, or there's more than one person that needs to know this. So it's really important to get it going as fast as possible, because if something good like your business explodes happens, then you need it to be there already, so it's not catch-up time.
Yeah. So, I mean, just listening to that kind of just got my mind going, and it's like it's a little more than just communication, because the communications are happening. But then there's things that need to get done after those communications, right? So you end up looking good and doing what you're supposed to do, and things don't fall through the cracks and all this kind of stuff.
And you don't want a customer to have to tell you something twice or tell your crews something over and over again. It should be known. I mean, if you're doing them every week, if they're all year customer or whatever like that, then you should already know what they expect. And learning that as fast as possible and getting it to your employees is important.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with our CRM, our customer relationship managing software, right? It's Service Autopilot. Big shocker here.
Right. It does everything.
I'm a huge fan of Service Autopilot. I've heard plenty of people have their issues with it. Some people like Jobber. A lot of guys are on Yardbook. It's not the end all be all. I think it is the best if you are really trying to grow and scale a company, but I'm not familiar with Yardbook or Jobber or Real Green Systems or House Call Pro. There's a ton of them, right? There's a ton of them. So I think really no matter what we decide on how we're gonna handle this, like the CRM, which happens to be Service Autopilot for us, needs to kind of be where everything gets documented at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have email and stuff like that going on, you want it to end up in the CRM.
Yeah. So Service Autopilot allows for notes and to-dos, like so we use notes already. So
Yeah.
we can put notes on the account, we can put notes on different jobs that the crew needs to check off on before they can start the job.
Yep.
Um,
So it makes sure you see it. If you put a note to the crew, or a note to the office, if you are the crew, you put, like, they're gonna see it. It's gonna
Yes.
be, they have to see it. So that's good too, because just having a note at the bottom of the page sometimes doesn't work.
Right. Yep. So Service Autopilot, it doesn't necessarily track calls, but it can if you manually input that a call came in and just note out what happened in that call. We don't have a dedicated office person, which is, a slight issue for us.
Right.
Amy's kind of the office person, I'm kind of the office person, but Amy is not sitting in front of a computer with Service Autopilot up at all times during the day. She has 3 kids, she has a full-time job, she has another job. She
does a lot. She keeps going.
Yeah. So she can't literally just sit there and document, so we can't, that's not the answer for us right now, although potentially that would really make things a lot easier in the future when we do.
I would love that.
Yes, that would be great.
to fully employ Amy. That would be
Yes, she's expensive.
Right.
Man.
If you're good at something, don't do it free.
Yeah, when your office lady basically has a doctor's education,
Yeah.
it makes it really hard to offer them some kind of competitive pay rate to make them leave their field training.
Would you like to stop making a large amount of money for good, honest work and come over and be our office lady?
That's hilarious. Okay, so basically we've been kicking around a couple different options of how we can communicate. Some are free, some are paid, some are more technically advanced than others, and stuff like this. So if I just list them real quick, we're kicking around the idea of Discord. So I believe it's discordapp.com, I want to say, is the place. But Discord's free. It's actually set up for gamers, but allows for group communications, video calls, screen records, screen shares. It's really, really freaking slick, and it's actually free. So I don't know if we're breaking the rules, if we should be paying them since we're a business or not. I haven't looked into it that much.
We've used it once, and it seemed pretty nice, and that's actually how you train me to do the scheduling on. That's it.
Yeah, we did a screen share to do a little training with Billy to learn Service Autopilot. So that's one thing. There's Slack, which I'm not familiar with Slack, but it's called their slogan, something like the way businesses communicate, something like that. So some kind of a group text with much more advanced features and this and that. Something tells me I seriously doubt that Service Autopilot and Slack communicate with each other, but maybe they would with a tool like Zapier or Zapier, which we could be getting really technically advanced. We could do group texts, which I'm not a fan of group texts. I don't really know anybody that is. You know what I mean? Something like, yes, thank God I'm included in that group text again. I was freaking loving it.
I mean, it starts out fine, right? And you get the thing done, and everyone's on the same page, and then it just dings for another 3 hours.
Yes, you're like, stop!
Can't stand
Don't care anymore. I'm done with this.
And then all of a sudden, your employees are talking about what maybe they're gonna see on the group text, and you're trying to do payroll.
Yes. Yeah, I get in a lot of them with my family, which starts off great. It's a couple pictures of my daughter, and the next thing you know, they're freaking talking about something that doesn't involve me at all. And it's freaking 30 texts later, and I'm just like, please God, stop. Okay, so that's an option, and then we have what else do we have? So I think to some capacity, we should utilize like the BCC feature of an email. So do you know what a BCC feature
I
is?
don't,
Because I didn't realize people are not really super familiar with what CC and what BCCC.
Yeah, there you go. BCC.
Are. Add another letter there. What it is, what it does, why you would use them. So a CC is, say you send an email to somebody and you CC somebody else. The people that you send that, the first person that got the email will see that you also like copied so-and-so is going to get a copy of this email communication, right? So then you could hit reply, and then you just reply to the person that sent you the email, or you could hit reply all, and then anybody else CC'd would get your response. So that's what CC is. BCC is like incognito mode,
Okay.
where say I'm emailing a client back something, but I really want Billy and Amy to just be in the loop with this. So I would BCC them, and then they would see that they've been BCC'd. God, freaking confusing.
Now, does that show you the whole thing? Does it show you what they sent you first? Because that's the problem with the CCs for me sometimes is like, I won't see what the client said to you, I'll only see what you said to them, and then what they said back to those messages, not the first one.
Right.
So
I think I think all you need to do is, I really believe if you like look at that email that you're not seeing that, there's 3 dots down at the bottom.
yeah, and you pop it open.
That's inconspicuous. So did you look for that? It wasn't there?
Exactly, yes.
Huh.
It is, yeah.
Crap.
Well, I
Really?
mean, it can be as simple as just that he sent the first message, and then you or Amy sent one back, and then the next one came through, and then you CC'd your message instead of his.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
Right,
just
right,
like
right.
maybe one click difference.
Yeah.
So here we go. That's like the communication stuff, because like I didn't know what the problem was there. I just knew that it wasn't a problem because he said he wasn't worried about it. That's all I knew. It was like no big deal, but there was like at the bottom it should have said his message first and not the reply.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's why we're having
Talking
this
this out.
conversation. Like,
Yeah, things
we
like
gotta,
that.
Yeah, we gotta get on the same page of what issues are we having with how we're trying to do it, or when that was just kind of a random attempt that I thought I'd do that. But really, if we do that and then go make that note, add a note to the client's page on Service Autopilot, boom. So I still do this, and it started with the lawn care, is I carry around a clipboard every day.
Yeah.
I have a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. Starts off as a blank piece of paper, and I try to limit like how many things I put on this piece of paper, but it's like this has to get done today, right? Like I gotta do X, Y, and Z, and then as things come up throughout the day, like if I was out mowing and a customer said something to me, I would go mark my sheet real quick.
To make a note about that later.
Right.
Right.
Like, add on a pruning service in 3 weeks at this client's house, or
Right.
whatever it was, right? So I just mark that down on my sheet and paper, my clipboard, and then I would enter that in the Service Autopilot when I got back at the end of the day. I'll just be going down my list, like, let's make sure we got everything done. Miss Jones wants to be pruned, rose bushes pruned in the back in 3 weeks. Add that job in the Service Autopilot, done, right?
See, that's one of the things that I would love to have Amy more open for us to do, is like, cause if we're in the field with the clipboard and writing that stuff down, that's perfect. I love that idea, and I think that's good. And then that would be my responsibility to get those notes in. But if somebody calls Amy and they have something and she's not able to put these notes in all the way, or she doesn't understand an aspect of it or something like that,
Yep.
it's nice to keep it to the person that they called. You know what I mean? So it's like, or the person that they got a hold of. So if someone gets a hold of you on email, maybe you should finish out not necessarily the routing, but the scheduling of the job or whatever, because you're the one who talked to the person and you're the one that
Oh, I 100% agree on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that for us, instead of it being like one person's in charge of it, we just need to we have to define which ones we're all taking care of. So it's like it has the customer sales rep slider on a essay.
Right.
Right, so it's like, so that's a good thing. So like if someone calls in and they get a hold of Amy, she can put her name on it so that we know she's the one that talked to him. So I think that the person that gets that should like finish it out, and then I'll just route it. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree.
Because trying to communicate the things she knows that needs to be done to me, like that's where it kind of gets weird, because we're not sure who. I mean, maybe you were going to put it up on the schedule, so she doesn't know that either. So it's like,
yep. So yeah, we've been talking about this, and me and Billy are kind of starting the conversation right here, right now, essentially. But we need to get Brandon and Amy in on this, because we all have to be on the same page.
Right.
Because I mean, I think that is the way to do it. So when we enter somebody into Service Autopilot, it asks, or you have the ability to populate a bunch of information about that client. So like right now, we are, you put in all the basic stuff, right, obviously, but then we put in sales rep, we put in how did they find the business, or tracking how they're, what marketing or whatever brought them into the company.
Right.
And then I made a custom field for square footage and set up the whole matrix within Service Autopilot, so we snap the lawn off, and then it populates the price. And I had not done this in the past, but I actually have the whole estimate. I guess this is still communication stuff, using the whole estimate feature within Service Autopilot now, which we ran through that the other day, right?
Yeah, I haven't really got it to work for me though. Like when I put the square footage in, I don't know how to get it to populate without just going ahead and putting in the price I gave them, because usually I've given them a price anyway.
Right.
So I'd like you to run through that with me again.
Yeah, I think for exactly what you're talking about, I think you put the square footage in the wrong spot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that's why that happened.
Okay.
But we have the rate matrix set up, and it's a general guideline, but depending on where the customer is located in the route, if there's extra drive time, if there's extra trimming, if it takes a small mower, we may adjust that price up. If for some reason it's a next door neighbor or something like that, we may adjust it down. So the matrix just makes it nice and quick and easy, but we can always manually override that at any point too.
Right.
So it's a nice starting point for sure, and then we just tweak and adjust as needed from there. But that has really actually streamlined the communications with the customer.
Because they get to the pricing faster and stuff like that.
Right. I remember people telling me this back in the day, that you need to get these email templates and all this kind of stuff, and we have basically the like really ones that we use a lot are already done, but people wanting a quote, so it sends it to them, and then we had this whole thing set up within Service Autopilot where it sends them this really nice official looking document. I mean, I created it, like it wasn't really done by Service Autopilot, but it's a whole feature
you can use.
thing that it can do. So I customized it, made it look good.
Is that the customer portal?
Well,
Email?
we pay for the portal too, but this is just, it actually allows them to electronically sign off on the quotes.
Right.
Which is something I'd never done within Service Autopilot. We did that using HelloSign back when I owned Loyal Green back in the day.
Yeah.
And that came with an additional cost of $120 or $130 a year or whatever. But Service Autopilot has it built in. I don't know if it had it built in back then. I hope not. But I was just throwing money away. But it's really nice because, if they get on the auto pay credit card, it has the little terms about, hey, we're just going to charge your card if we perform a service and you're happy with it. You'll never be charged for anything else. If no service ever occurs, you're not charged. So it clears all that up, and then we actually have a signature on file also. And it's all automated. It's literally click, click, click. The emails are populated. It uses the merge codes or merge fields if you're not familiar with these. So it says like, some kind of code snippet type looking thing, and it's like F name, which would be first name. So whatever the client's first name is that we input in the Service Autopilot, it's pulling, so it's saying, hi Kevin.
Yeah.
And then it sends them the link to the client portal, and it gives them their username and their password. So I'm not having to go and like copy and paste this stuff out. It actually, Service Autopilot now blocks the password, so the only thing we could possibly do is reset it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna hit on the added security that you get from a feature like that, and people really like that because instead of one of your workers needing their card or any kind of numbers, they literally do it themselves on a computer. And you can run into some people who might not be savvy enough to do that or whatever, but
We ran into some people like couldn't copy and paste the information to get into the portal, so we had to make it like, all right, your username is 1, 2, 3, your password's 4, 5, 6. Like, change it if you want when you get in there. Please change it,
because it's not safe. But the further along we get, like every year, more and more people not only understand that stuff, but they expect it. I mean, it'd be weird for me, like if I was at my house and somebody was asking if I wanted a service done or whatever, and then they asked me for my credit card and wanted to write it down. That's a strange thing to me, but I think that's just like with our generation, like we're used to digital protection, you know what I mean? So it's like,
and if you're not accepting credit cards, I just really honestly think you're shooting yourself right in the foot.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't freaking use your service. I pay all of my credit cards off every single month, but I get 1.5% cash back on every dollar that I spend.
So why wouldn't you pay your bills with that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I own businesses, so I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because my businesses generate hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I incur costs to do that.
Yep.
Right? So I get kind of mad when I can't pay something like with a credit card.
Because you want your cash back.
Yeah, so like the mower payment, for example, like Sheffield Financial does not let you pay with a credit card. And, well, maybe they do, and they'd probably charge you a 3% fee, which then would obviously negate the 1.5% you get back. But yeah.
Right.
So that the communication thing just like, I guess is a little bigger than I initially thought.
Right, because everything ties into it.
Right.
Everything. Every aspect of your business is going to tie into can you communicate that to somebody else, because you can't do everything by yourself, especially if you're looking to expand your business and have something larger than just what you can do. I don't hate the idea of somebody just creating a good job for themselves and maybe one person, but I think that there's a hard line to find there, and you want to expand because that's how you make more and more and can afford better things and more employees, so
and
it all ties into communication.
Especially in this industry, like I'm all for, I would 100%, like personally myself, rather be a one-man mow show than work for anybody else doing anything. Assuming like the pay rate's somewhat similar and hours and time and this, whatever. I would much rather do, work for myself.
Yeah.
But it is a labor-intensive industry. So, at some point your body's gonna be like, hey man, like we're not trying to do this anymore all day, every day, so
it's not just the ability to do it or the physical ramifications of working yourself like that. It's literally time in the day. Like can't if you're, like you said earlier, like east side, if you're on the east side and somebody on the west side wants a cut but you're full today, you're gonna miss out on that because you didn't expand and you don't have 2 trucks.
Yeah.
Like at some point you want to have the ability to go do things off of schedule and to grab those new customers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and that goes back into basically, if you're not gonna be the one doing everything, you need to be able to communicate job descriptions and things like that. And I mean, it can be as simple as make sure you call them before you go or send them a text so that they can pick up their kids' toys out back. Yep. It can be very simple notes that you need everyone that ever goes there to know. Right, so
Service iPod has that built in also.
Right, that's the job notes, which is probably our biggest form of communication right now is the job notes through SA.
I mean, I haven't been on like the out in the field user side of the app in so long, or never ran into it, but it actually has a call ahead feature.
Yeah, for sure. I've used it plenty of times.
Okay.
You just have to populate the phone number in there manually. You know what I mean? Like
really?
Yeah, like if you when you're setting up the customer, if you have their phone number, because we usually do emails.
Right.
But if you also have their phone number and you put it in there, when you're out in the field, you can just hit contact and it'll bring up all of their contact information. So If you have the email, it'll be on there. If you have a
Nice.
phone number to text and home number, it's all there.
Cool.
And you can just hit it. And it's kind of strange because it doesn't log it through your phone. It logs it through SA. So it's like you can't really see, like if I just like open my call log, it wouldn't show me that I called somebody.
Huh.
It's strange, yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll try to wrap this up. But since we've already kind of touched on the portal, I did want to kind of go back to the portal.
Right.
Because our customers really, really like it from what I can tell.
I mean, like I said, there's a few people, and you'll run into it mostly with like the older generation because they're so used to having paper receipts and things like this, and they document things that way.
Right.
You know, so like those are going to be your main people that don't want to run through the portal. But anybody under the age of 50 probably prefers it because then they get the emails and they get to keep all their taxes and stuff through that. You know, and it's just easier for us to do it like that. But they really like the security, like I was saying before.
On the topic of communication, this video, I think the portal really cuts back on the need for the customers to communicate with us.
For sure.
If they have a question about an invoice or their customer history or anything like that, they can log into the portal and literally see everything that's occurred in Service Autopilot for their account. So they don't need to call us, text us, or email us and say, hey, can you resend that invoice? Or
it's there already,
what dates was my lawn cut? Blah, blah, blah. It is really slick. They can put in a little request. They can update their credit card. They can enter their credit card from the beginning. They can make a one-time payment if they don't want to put their card on file. The customer portal is 100% worth the $20 fee, I believe is what it comes with. An additional fee to use the client portal and Service Autopilot, but I highly recommend it. Like, we've actually never gone without it. Ever.
I mean, that's a pretty good point too, because something as simple as like, you overcharge someone $1 and they see it on their email, they can just go to the portal and say like, oh, well, there was or maybe like we put a job on like the wrong date or something like that, and they wanted it done, so that they literally can go in there and see when we did something and any reason why we changed that, the day or something like that. So.
Yep. And they're clocking in and out with the app. So on the invoice it says the day we were there, the time we were there.
So that means that if they have a question, instead of them emailing you emailing them back, then them emailing you, then you emailing me to tell me, it's all basically done as soon as they look at it, because then they can just call and say, oh, this is a problem, or email and say it's a problem, or there wasn't a problem, whatever it was, and you're right. Like, you want to minimize the amount of time and emails and things like that, communication that you need with them. So if they can get that information themselves, it's definitely worth the $20.
Yeah, you get to know your clients. I think it's very important to have like a rapport with your clients.
Absolutely.
And you should be able to tell if they want to talk or they don't want to talk. Yeah. I prefer the ones that don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Like, just come cut the grass, get out of here, send us a bill, we're good. Like, perfect, But then, especially the older ones, stuff like that, they may really be like looking forward to talking to you for 5, 10, or 15 minutes every week while you're there mowing.
And of course
it can become an issue.
It can become an issue quickly, but at the same time, you definitely want to give somebody. For me, it's more about respect. Like, I'm on their property. They're paying me to do a job. I do a good job. If they need to speak to me for a few minutes, that's absolutely fine. And you run into some of them who, especially for a smaller business like ours, like, they think you have all the time in the world. They think that maybe you cut 10 yards or something like that all week long, which is not true. We cut a lot more than that, so we do keep a schedule and we do keep the speed up. So, but you wanna run that line in between respecting their time and yours. So if they want to talk about their yard, that's obviously something that you want to stay and listen to. If they want to talk about their family, you talk to them for a little while.
Something tells me Mr. Miller's not watching these long crack videos.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we had Mr. Miller, freaking love this guy, but he'll talk your head off like,
Oh, whatever.
oh my gosh.
He was my favorite customer.
Yeah, awesome, super guy, but it's like, hey, take these little antique things from the front to the back, put this up here, and this and that, and all this.
Can you grab this one branch off this one tree in the back?
It's like, dude, you know how much more grass that we have to cut. Like, it's freaking crazy, man. So, like, in that situation, like, we're still dealing with Mr. Miller. I wouldn't have to, like, assume there's going to be 10 minutes of talking and whatever else. And, like, we need to account for that in your price.
Right.
Like, seriously.
Well, that's a good point.
Holy crap, man. But, yeah, obviously you're not going to know that going in. I'm just going to assume they're going to talk to us for 10 minutes. No.
I mean, I think, like I said, it's more of a respect thing, and they'll pick up on it too. Like, if you give them a little bit of time every time, then they'll start taking less time from you, because they'll realize that you've been polite and listened to it and whatnot, but at some point you gotta do what you're doing. And honestly, it kind of works best that way, because then, but it's like a thing I hear a lot is, I don't want to stop you two working guys, but you know,
but I'm going to.
But I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So, you know, you give them adequate amount of time, but not too much. And that's something that is hard to tell your employees, because employees are either gonna not talk to them at all and just cut them off, or they're gonna talk to them for half an hour. So there is an actual limit of time you want to spend on appeasing the customer and their social needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a wrap.
Yeah,
we're wrapping this up.
That's a whole different part of communication too.
Yeah, we got to end this. Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed once again, and until the next video, keep making money.
Keep making money.